I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Anna. We're two sisters who love handcrafting and figuring things out. Welcome to episode 3 of Curious Crafters. We're coming to you from a sunny day in Northern California. And
Tell us the date.
It is May 21st. I can't believe it. May 21st, 2022.
Yeah, in this episode, we're going to share with you some of our first finished objects. We are going to have some sewing, some knitting. We're going to have, of course, some cross stitch, and we're also going to talk about our first stitch along that we're going to be starting, and hope anybody that wants to will join along. Before we get started too, we just want to thank you again for everything that you've been sharing with us. We love, love, love reading your comments or going and watching your FlossTubes, seeing what you're doing on Instagram, just all of that. We even had one viewer, she's not on Instagram, so she was so kind and she emailed us a couple of photos of her work, and it was just really fun. You see what we were doing, but it's really awesome to also see what you all are doing. So thank you so much. It's so inspiring.
Crafters find a way to share our things with each other.
Love it. So as much as you feel comfortable, keep doing that. We absolutely love it.
Yes.
Before we start too, this is going to feel a little bit like deja vu, but we're going to celebrate the birth of another grandchild. This is my 4th granddaughter, baby A. So welcome to the world, baby A. Just
welcome,
so
baby A.
exciting.
See, I'm getting teary again.
I
can't help it. It's such a happy occasion.
So I have 2 sons, and it was so fun. They both had daughters within a month of each other about 2 years ago. And then they both had daughters again within about 3 weeks of each other's. So I just can't wait for Grams at camp when they get a little bit older. So
I'll help you.
Yeah, this baby A, she's a NorCal girl. So we're going to celebrate her with a little bit of a nice double IPA. So baby A, welcome to the world.
And to the family.
And to the family. Yeah.
Congratulations, girl.
Oh, thank you. And good job, parents. They're doing an awesome job. They're doing an awesome job. Let's get started. So Anna, what are you wearing?
I am wearing a dress called the Baby Doll Dress by Narita Hansen, and it's in a really lightweight window pane cotton poplin. Again, we purchased from Needle Studio, which is a beautifully curated local store that we have near us.
Yeah. We're going to talk about them a little bit, but just know they're on the peninsula, but they also have a fabulous website. So highly, highly, highly recommend, and we'll link that in the show notes.
Great service, and for those of you who sew garments, they have one of those huge copy machines where they can print out a PDF pattern and send it to you, which is, yeah. The only adjustment I made to this dress is I changed the seam where the bodice and the skirt connect to make it be slightly curved. So the hem then pulls up a little bit in the front. It just felt like sort of a summery thing to do.
Yeah,
I really enjoy wearing it.
And we will insert, once we're done talking about it, we'll insert the catwalk so you can get a better look at what we're wearing.
Yes, we will.
Yeah,
How about you, Carol?
Okay, so I'm wearing, this is called the Lizzie cardigan, and this is another design by Coco Knits, Julie Weisenberger, and I just, again, love her things. They're so simple, but so wearable. This is, and you'll see it again, it's just a 3/4 sleeve open cardigan, and she is a genius of design. It's from her book. It's called the Coco Knits Sweater Workshop, and she's just a technical genius, and she's found a way. Knitters really enjoy when you can knit a sweater top down. For knitters, you know what I'm talking about, because you can try it on and really get a fit along the way, and she has come up with this way of doing a set in beautiful sleeve from the top down.
It's gorgeous. I was just checking it out.
It fits really well. I know, especially like open cardigans, sometimes you find they're falling off your shoulders.
It's true, yeah.
Especially when you're busy in the day, you know, maybe writing on the whiteboard and you're teaching.
Taking care of granddaughters.
Exactly. And this just stays on really, really well. The yarn is so unusual. It's made by a company called Shibui Knits, and it is paper with cotton and silk added onto it. And knitting with it, it was really, really stiff, but as soon as it was washed, it just became this really supple, flowy fabric. So
it's a beautiful drape. That color is so vibrant.
I love it.
I have to borrow it to wear with this dress.
Oh yeah, it actually looks good. I know,
black.
because with the black and white.
Yeah.
I've been wearing this sweater for like really hard for about 3 years, and it's just held up beautifully. Unfortunately, this yarn is discontinued. I don't know why. You know, I wonder because it was not pleasant to knit with, so the process wasn't great, but the end result was fabulous. So Lizzie Cardigan by Coco Knits. Again, coming the shoulder. So we're going to start with our fully finished object. Okay, how do we want to, okay, well, maybe like many of you, we have just been having so much fun with the process of stitching that we're starting to get just a pile of finished objects, but I have mine just kind of rolled up, safely put away. And so we started to think, okay, come on girls, we can do it. Let's start trying to fully finish them.
Yeah. What to do with them, and what sort of suits our style, and what would fit into our home, and we tried a flat fold.
Okay, we went flat fold, and we need to thank Vanna Pfeiffer of the Twisted Stitcher. We'll link this too. She has fabulous finishing videos, so I'm probably telling you something that you already know,
right? But
such high quality, and we were able to really follow it and happy with our results.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and then when we were together, we would watch a bit, pause,
and then do
the bit, watch a bit, pause. It just worked great.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Okay, do you want to show yours?
Sure. So I showed a finish. I think, was it last video? I know. Anyway,
probably.
Merry Christmas.
We've only done 2, Anna, so.
It's so true. And I think I even said something like, I don't know, is it too big for a flat fold or something like that?
And commenters are like,
do it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, every time I look at it, I can't believe. Here it is.
Give us the.
Here's the side view, and
open this up.
Pop it out. So I had some French General fabric. I cannot remember when I bought this. I mean, it could have been 30 years ago. I just don't know. And I had a little ribbon in my stash. So I just used what I had. And first of all, I have to show you the selvage of the French General pattern. Look how pretty even the selvage is.
You can see why people are just gaga for French General.
Gorgeous. Gosh, I just feel so happy with it. I'm looking at it like, I can't believe I did this. Thank you, Vanna.
Yeah, thank you, Vanna. We actually did this a couple of weeks ago. It's how we spent our Mother's Day, the afternoon of Mother's Day. And in fact, our mom came over and she was kind of giving us advice along the way, or and
keeping us company.
It was just a really fun way to spend the afternoon. Okay,
yeah,
so here's
yours.
mine. So I took the Share Joy. It's the Hands to Work. And this pattern, again, was part of the Kitten Stitcher Advent box. So I'm sure in the next few months it will become available, and I highly recommend it.
Because a lot of people have asked about this pattern. It's super appealing. That bird, and one commenter said, is the bird putting the ornament on the tree or taking it off the tree?
I know. It was like, is your cup half full or half empty? So here's mine. So there's the flat fold, and I put a red fabric on the outside and a turquoise on the inside. And we'll talk about sort of lessons learned, and that was one of my lessons
Open
learned.
It up again. I want to see the turquoise. Oh, it's hard to see.
It is hard to see. So again, we could not be more excited. And we'll insert, we'll pause here and insert we have a little bit of just a collage of photos of our day of working out, so you can see a little bit of the process. So we'll insert that here.
I mean, it's so exciting when you finish finish a piece, finish the stitching. And now I'm really getting the excitement of when you finish, what fully finish. Is that what it's called?
And this is a Christmas piece, but man, it's going to be out for a while in my house.
I can't quite put it away. And then I'm like, should I keep it? Should I give it to someone?
Well, at least enjoy it for a while, and then maybe this Christmas, it would be a really special thing to give to somebody like a sister or something like that, you know? So, you never know.
Just never know what'll show up.
I think one thing that felt really amazing to me, and maybe to you as well, is part of the process is we had to, what's that called? Why am I blanking? Lacing.
Yeah.
We had to lace it on a board, and I thought I would never be able to do that. She had a great tutorial, and we both felt really good with our first attempt.
I will say for the first 5 minutes even, I was like, I think this is gonna work. It felt well because it was just so new. It felt like I don't know.
And I think also doing it with somebody else, we were like constantly going off of each other and being like, oh, that looks good, or what does yours look like? But now this gives me like confidence that I could maybe frame something myself, or do some other finishing. I'm sure I'll use some professional framing along the way, but for other things, like I feel more empowered now to have more options to finish. For that, I'm still on the fence. A couple maybe lessons learned is I love this idea of using the coordinate fabric, but it's really not that great of an idea because I think it makes my edges really, really visible.
Having two different
colors. So I think doing one color. And also when I was lacing, I think I should have brought in that sort of overlap of the fabric a little bit more, so maybe you can't see as much. And okay, I am like 100% totally into this. So I'm just, as a craftsperson, thinking about, I'm not dissing what I did. I'm thinking what I would do next time.
Well, we love analyzing. I mean, every time I make something, it's the exact same thing. I'm almost always satisfied. And then I'm always like, oh, what would I do next?
I know.
How would I do it differently? And
see,
oppositely,
show yours because I think it's cool with your fabric.
Yeah, and I actually wasn't even sure how I felt about this fabric with this piece at first. I'm like, oh, but I have it. It's neutral. It's pretty. Yeah, and it does blend in really, really nicely. And that was just.
And I think you did a nice job, Anna, of getting so you don't see the overlap of your fabric.
Maybe I brought it in a little bit more.
I think you brought it in a little bit more. So that's just something to be.
Okay.
It looks really good. I'm toying with maybe putting an edging around it. Vanna in her tutorial does.
I know, it's because Vanna.
I inherited this from my mother. Like, I know the word, but I don't always pronounce it correctly.
Well,
so I'm Vanna White.
Exactly.
So I got some of this linen chenille, this chenille, and I have it in a gold color that I might try, or I have it in the turquoise that really brings out. I like this turquoise. But just putting it around, I'm not sure if it's too big, and I definitely don't want to glue it. But that to me just feels, I know people do it, so I think I would use those little pins and maybe pin it in.
That's what I was just going to say. Try pinning it, even just to see if you like it. I was thinking, I don't know. See, I want to use like actually live greens. What about at Christmas time?
Oh, Anna,
just put some live greens around.
I don't know if that's distracting.
It's a really pretty color with the piece.
Yeah.
I'm uncertain too.
So I might try the pins and just try it like temporarily and see. I like your idea of like putting greens around it or something.
Yeah.
So we just had so much fun.
It was so satisfying. Really fun to do with someone else too.
Yeah. And I know I'm telling you something that you all already know, but YouTube tutorials, the people that put those out, I just so appreciative of it because we're going to feature that a little bit today. Some other examples of tutorials. Just a way, it's like having an expert in your home with you, walking you through the process. It's something that we couldn't do, before.
Yeah, and I feel like I've met some of my very dearest friends taking craft classes through the years, and I feel like I feel like I'm at a craft class with this expert teacher who has all of this know-how. Their her hands are just so sure. You can see she's done this so many times.
I'm just watching as she's gluing and how she tightens the fabric, and again watching her hands, and so we're like, okay, we got to do this. Exactly. With our hands too.
Do it like Vanna does.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
We also want to just share this thing that we learned from our mom when we were growing up, and it's called taking an MCS. So it's like an MCS stands for mild conceit session. And maybe when you're in elementary school, you might not be as old as we were, but we would have to write these reports, on something, and you'd go to your encyclopedia and you'd put your report together, and then you put them in these folders. Remember the plastic folders?
Yeah. It's a plastic sleeve almost, and then it had
it would slide down. And we'd be done, and we'd be like, oh my gosh, my report's so awesome. Look at my rainfall graph and all this.
Baby A.
Baby A. So mom would say, okay, take your mild conceit session. And then she'd go, okay, that's enough, keep it mild.
And the thing I remember from my childhood is I really liked to cut the grass. I can remember looking out the window at the grass going like, those lines are so straight.
Yeah,
you just take that joy.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, then you let it go. Okay,
exactly.
We're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so,
I might have more than mild for me for this flat fold. I feel so proud of it. I mean, it's not conceit session, but I just feel so proud of it.
Yeah. And it's okay to have a mild conceit session like multiple
couple days in a row.
A couple days in a row.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's now do some of our finished things that we finished, and we've been doing some sewing. So I've been so inspired by looking at all the beautiful project bags that people show when they show their projects. So again, went to that good old YouTube and used Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. She has a beautiful one for making project bags. She has one for a vinyl front that I know, Anna, you used earlier, and this is just one for a whole one. So here I just want to show my project bags. Here's one. And this is my first bag I made, and when I was cutting, I cut this piece too small, so I had to insert something, and I actually really like that design element. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes we make a mistake, we like it. And then inside, it's just the same fabric. So that's one. I'm going to show yours.
So pretty. Sure, you might recognize one of the fabrics on this. I made this for Carolyn, and you're welcome. I asked her to pick out some fabric, maybe over a year ago. When you started cross stitching, and I just made this a couple of weeks ago.
That's okay.
Yeah, I thought it looked kind of. It reminded me of our fracture pieces. Something about the colors
and the flowers.
And then I just liked that little black and white trim.
Do you know this is her dress?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you never know what you can use your
scraps for. Keep those scraps. And then here was the second one I made. I just really love that purple fabric, the little gold. And
is it purple or blue?
It's that like deep eggplant.
Oh.
I love that. Yeah, definitely purple. And then inside, I just have the gold for that. Anna's, you're a very experienced sewer. I've made a lot of quilts, so I know how to go forward. I made some Halloween costumes, but this was
so you can sew with fuzz.
I can sew with fuzz. So this zipper, I'm sure I put a zipper in before, but this is still probably less than 5. So that's one thing I want. Next time I make a bag, I'm going to sit down with Anna to get a few tips of how to make that a little bit easier. I mean, they're fine.
Yeah,
they're totally fine. Yeah. It was just a little hard to do it, so I'm sure there are just some tips.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
That. So thank you so much, Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. Elizabeth Ann Can Sew? Can Stitch.
Can
Stitch.
Yeah.
For your beautiful tutorials, and it's fun. I also want to plug again Needle Studio, because I got all of my supplies there. I had a day off of school. We had a day off Tuesday, and I got to go around shopping that day. I got all of my fabric there, and I got her fabric there. They had the zippers, a great selection of colored zippers, and they also had the fusible fleece that you use in this too. So yeah, one-stop shop. It was awesome.
Amazing little store.
Good.
Okay. I know.
Put our stuff to the side.
And your stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. It's my bag. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's funny. We've been we save up a pile, getting ready for a floss tube, and I've wanted to use those bags. I'm like, not until we film. So here we are.
You can fill them up soon.
All right. So my next finish, it was a cross stitch piece, and I'm working on these seasonal etchings from Heart and Hand Needle Art, excuse me. And she has them all together here, but I'm stitching them individually. So I finished the spring bunny. Show that here. This. And I'm using Seraphim Fabrics Chai 36 count linen, and it was the call for threads, and I stitched 1/2.
Great choice.
I love it. It was a really fun stitch. And I've seen a lot of variations of this pattern, but it's the mirror image. The bunny's facing the other direction. So I wonder if she first published these individually in a magazine, and then I wonder when she went to put them together, if she felt like the bunny needed to, just for the design of the 4 pieces together, felt like the bunny needed to face the other way.
Oh.
So I'm curious if anybody else have stitched this, and I'd be curious, did you stitch it from a magazine if yours is going the mirror image for that? Now, I've been thinking a lot about how to finish this, and I saw Kathy Ratliff of Kathy's Corner. She finished a piece where she took a small and then she treated it as the center of a quilt block and sewed some fabric around it. So for quilters out there, I want to finish it as a log cabin. And I've picked some, of course I have all this fabric for that one little piece, but I had to get, enough different variations up, and then I'll maybe make a project bag. but I'm thinking about doing the pinks on two sides and the browns on the other. And
Yeah, the
really,
combo
really
color.
thin, probably 1/4 inch strips. So it's gonna still read really small. And then I'll finish it just with a quilt binding and just pull the binding to the back for a nice clean edge. And then I think I'm gonna try to use some magnets and mount it on like a corrugated metal or something.
You know, it might get too busy. I'm gonna use my pointer.
Oh yeah, okay, Anna, yes, please point away.
It might get too busy, but I wonder if you could do on a log cabin a big strip of brown and then a little pink and then a brown. Like, would you want to intersperse the colors within a vertical or a horizontal?
Yeah.
It might be too much.
I'm gonna play with that because it's kind of a fine line between not taking away from the stitching but adding some for that. Maybe not on the first log around, but maybe on like a subsequent second or third. I might go 3 logs around on each side.
Because I do like that broken border a lot.
Yeah, so somehow incorporating something about the broken border. Yeah, I'll play around with that. I like that idea. To finish this, I have turned to another Vana tutorial, and I just watched one. It was for her tuck pillow. But what I really
the tuck part.
So it was for making a pillow. She ruches and tucks this fabric around. So it's just sort of how she embellishes it. But what I wanted to see is how do you take a piece of cross-stitch linen and use it in your sewing machine. So she goes through how she stabilizes the back with some light interfacing and how she trims it. So I'm kind of
to keep it from kind of warping.
So it's not going to be a pillow, but I'm going to use some of the techniques for that to make the log cabin.
I see.
Okay. And then I had so much fun with this. I moved right on into my summer. So the summer is the fish.
That's the one I want to do of these 4.
And I'm working my way through that one. So again, very enjoyable. Fun. Love that pattern.
Do you have your ring of colors?
Of course I do. So this is for all 4 of them seasons. Yeah. And I was talking about my thumbs up last time. I just love my palette. I love feeling my palette and picking my palette from there and watching the palette change.
Yeah, they're really working for me, these colors.
So that'll be my next project. Hopefully by the next video, I'll have that fully finished.
Great. All right, so I have finished Sir Dandy design, My Hands to Work.
Oh, put that a little closer, okay?
And here it is.
Anna. Okay, so move to the side for a minute and we'll insert a progress photo so you can compare where she was last video.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I'm really appreciating is, will you hold this for a second, please?
Sure.
Is I love how heavy the bird is, all the patchwork, but then the way this plant is kind of lacy, as is this triangle. There's something about like the heaviness and the lightness that I really enjoyed.
And even the flower on this side also feels light, like the stem.
Yeah. And I left this, I can't, what does it even say? I can't remember now. It says, the words on the pattern say My Work 2022, but I left it empty because I'm going to put my granddaughter's name and birth year there instead and call that done. So I put something up on Instagram because as I was stitching this, I was really having a hard time with the strand of MPI silk untwisting, and I know a lot of people have the opposite problem where it twists and then you turn it upside down and it goes, the needle goes. I was having the opposite problem and it was getting a little frustrating, so I was curious. I thought I put it out there on Instagram and got some tips. And 2 that are working for me, and read a little bit, are feeling the direction of the thread. And if I put my fingers down like this one way and like this another way, one of them feels smoother to me. And then I'm putting it through the needle the smooth way. So why not try it and see if you agree. So I think that is smoother than that.
It is.
Now, sometimes I can't really tell, and then I'm like, okay, whatever.
I can see you totally like trying to psych yourself out, like, is that smoother? Is that smoother?
And sometimes it's very apparent to me, and that has been helping. I really think there's something about maybe as you pull it through, it's not going against its natural grain or something, or the twist.
I'm guessing it has, although it's just one ply.
I know, but there's twists within the ply.
The one ply, so it's probably, are you going with the twist or against the twist or something?
I think it's helping. And the other thing that's helping is every once in a while I'm doing a tiny little clockwise twist to my needle. So I guess if you have the opposite problem, you would do a tiny little clockwise twist. It's really, I'm doing both of those consistently, and
has that helped?
It's helped a lot. In fact, I'm barely ever having the issue anymore.
Okay. I have heard people say sometimes they find they have to do exactly what you're saying. They just find this natural motion that they twist their needle a little bit, whatever it is that's going to compensate for the other twist that they go in.
So that was new to me.
Okay.
So I know, Carolyn, you mentioned something about this on another video about how you have memories associated as you're stitching. So I thought, and I might even put this on the back as I start, because I think I'm going to frame this. So on the things that I frame, I might put these ideas on the back of when I think about stitching this. It was the start of our FlossTube.
Yep.
It was sort of the start of spring as well. So bird song in the yard, the windows and doors open, things like that. And I'm a huge San Francisco Giants fan, baseball fan, and Buster Posey, who's a famous player on the Giants, he had his retirement a little while ago. And I was stitching this bird during his retirement ceremony. And he said, what I love most about baseball is it brings people together. And I thought, you know, I feel that way about the cross stitch community. It really brings people together in a really
like positive, genuine, authentic way.
Yeah. I wanted to show this. This is Buster Posey. This is one of my colleagues made this for me for my birthday months ago. But anyway, Buster, you've been great, Giant.
But I love that idea. I think when you spend so much time working on something, you're often thinking about things or the memories of your life. And I like that idea of somehow documenting that and putting it on the back. Because sometimes it's those small things in life that are captured in a piece. Definitely.
We might remember some of the big things, like the very happy or sad things that might happen when we're stitching, but I want to capture some of the little everyday things too.
Oh, I love that idea. Oh, I don't know if you see that person that made this is a 3D art. Oh, yeah.
She's one of our art teachers at school. She's really...
That's really cool, Anna.
I know. I'm all in.
Yeah. Good. Right. And then the last finished object is a knit object, and this is the reading shawl for Mom. And I'm going to show you a little bit now, but then we'll insert photos and probably even a little video so you can get a better feel for it. So maybe let's start on that side and just kind of pull it across.
I mean, by looking at it, can you tell how soft it is?
It's so soft and drapey.
Oh my gosh.
And I added, when I'm done, there's this edging and it's called an I-cord. It's actually a tiny little cord, and it just adds a really nice stability and really finishes the edge. And then for knitters, if you look on the back, I have to change colors whenever I'm, of course, going from the blues to the reds. And you end up with these little ends. And so you can then weave them into your I-cord.
Yeah, let's show that side too, because...
so it just looks, it's a really nice way to finish it.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, so this was, I designed this myself, but this pattern of the sort of squares and then interspersed with these lines, I've knit this before, so I'm going to insert a few pictures. One thing I knit, I got it originally from a pattern. It's called the Jane Jacobs Shawl by Kristen Kapoor, and I'll insert a picture of it here. I loved knitting that shawl, and I just fell in love with the geometric patterns for that.
I remember when you did that.
And then I was knitting a baby blanket for my first granddaughter, and got a palette of colors, and then was thinking, oh, what do I want to do with it? And again, I came back to the same geometric shape, so I'll insert a picture of baby M, or I should say 2-year-old M's blanket, and that's right here. So I seem to kind of keep coming back to this pattern and just love the effect. Yeah. So I'm gonna now give that to Mom. Okay. For now that it's warm in summer, she'll have to maybe put it away to the fall.
It'll still be nice for the mornings and evenings.
Yeah, right, for that. Okay.
Maybe even outside.
And like same thing, I always feel a little sad when I finish something. Like, this was so fun to work on. I really enjoyed making something for Mom, and you finish it and it's almost like you've lost a friend. You have a little bit of nostalgia until, you got to cast on your next project and go from there.
Yeah, I feel like we both feel that. We're probably going to say that in every video.
I know. Really. I'm like, I missed that project. All right. Let's go on to what we are works in progress.
Yeah. So after I finished Sir Dandy, I went back to Frederica. And this is a design by Carriage House Samplings, and I'm doing it on a Needle and Flax's Pemberley, which has a little bit of gold in it.
Okay, so let's pull it back for 1 second, and now I'm going to insert a picture, a progress picture. Okay, go for it.
And there were some times in the last couple of weeks when I just did maybe a strand or two in the evening, and I was calling it a little progress and a lot of peace.
Yeah.
And I just did the legs and a little bit on the border, but then a couple of days ago, I really got going on the body, and
the body looks great, Anna.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
I know you posted on Instagram that you kind of liked the openness of the, oh, here's the pointer. Excuse me. The openness here that you have to fill those in. What actually gets filled in there?
Go see down at the bottom. There's some black squares.
Oh, right.
They're gonna be
Anna, I actually really love those.
It's gonna look great. I do not know better than carriage house sampling.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna look great, and then they have a little like a tan into as the very middle stitch. So.
Okay,
one thing though, like
move it just a little closer so we can really see the details.
And again, just like I've been thinking about the twist, my thread untwisting, I feel like the darker colors lay flatter and neater than the lighter colors. Not just on this piece, but on a lot of things I've done. And I've heard references to how hard it is for like a lot of white and a sheep or something to lie flat. And is it just because we see it more because the color's lighter, or is there something about the dyeing process? If something's in a dye for longer, it tightens, or...
That's a really good question. So you're feeling like the darker threads lay neater than the lighter threads.
Absolutely. And I've noticed this in needlepoint. I've noticed this in many things for many years.
I'm curious if it has anything to do with the reflection of the light. But I know the same thing, like especially stitching white, I feel like it's really like a little bit clumpy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've dug around the internet a little bit, and I haven't really found anything definitive. I am guessing it is something about the light, or just our eyes noticed the irregularities more in a lighter color than a darker color. But I also I'm still curious. Is there something literally about the way darker colors are processed or something?
Okay, what do you all think? Let's chime in. And even if you just have, you don't know, you just going for it. Just go for it. And I have a question for you. So all those little squares are going to have in the center of them, looks like they're black, and then that one little tan stitch. Are you starting and stopping your thread every time, or are you carrying it? Like how? That's the thing I've sort of been puzzled about. Like, what is the best way to go?
Yeah, and I'll answer that in just a second, because I have been thinking about something similar. But how about just one stitch all by itself? And I know there's a possibility of a pin stitch, and if it's a light color fabric and a dark thread, you might not want to carry. These things are hard for me presently for something like this. The reason I saved the middle for last is because I will go under a couple of black threads and then go under again, sort of like go under and then make a loop and then do a stitch and then go under a couple of black threads and then bring it through again, sort of like a loop.
Because I'm almost wondering, since they're so close, since you're going under threads, what if you did a stitch and then did that same technique of kind of going under a couple of threads to travel to the next one?
Yeah, it might be dark enough that the black wouldn't show.
Oh, I see, because you're thinking this black thread might show through. Yeah.
I don't know. When we were doing the flat fold, I was wondering if some of my little ends were showing more than I anticipated. Sometimes I hold my work up to the sunlight and think like, am I seeing any of the little threads? I don't know. These are all the things we just have to try, I think. Yeah.
So again, love for you seasoned expert stitchers out there, would love some words of advice. If you know of a tutorial where people do that, but YouTube tutorial, all in. Okay, so the next one I want to show is, it's a new start for me, and it's the Seasons of the Heart. This is by Brenda Gervais from With Thy Needle and Thread. I'm starting with spring, and I'm going to try to stitch them all this year in the season that they are. And
it's very orderly of you.
I know. Well, I am a mathematician. And here are the threads, and these are the threads for spring. And you know what? I'm really starting to appreciate whites. And how different whites can be. This white is called Grits, and it's fabulous. I don't know what it is about that.
Lighter than it.
It's just working really well. Now, I wanted to share a lesson I'm learning about linen. So I started with this linen. This is Fox and the Rabbit up in the attic. Anna, can you actually hold like this? And I picked this because I thought the threads just looked beautiful on there.
Yeah, the pinks in particular.
Oh yeah, I could not get enough of that color. But I didn't think about value. So I started stitching it. Here's my start on this. And notice how you can barely see the colors because there's so little value change. Maybe a little bit in the pinks. See what I mean?
Yeah, it's falling pretty flat.
And this could be totally fine, like if you wanted to have that more antique-y feeling, but I'm like, this is spring. Like, is this spring? No. So I actually went and took a black and white photo of my fibers on my linen to
classic quilt.
Yeah, you know, quilters, they say squint because it's that value that really pops up. Sometimes a really like a saturated color will do it, but value is the most important thing. So with that, then I went and picked a different linen that was much lighter.
It's amazing.
Yeah, let me just, excuse me. And this one, this is Needle and Flax's Thornfield 36 count. And here's my progress on that. And again, I love the colors on here, but that lightness, all of a sudden, you know, the value really pops.
Let's hold them side by side for a moment.
I can't see this.
I think it's like that, maybe?
Yeah. So
wow.
So really, it's given me, you know, I think it's very hard to get called for linen. So as I'm starting to gain some expertise, we have our linen stash of what to pick. I now know you're looking for both a nice color match, but also a value match. And thinking about, do you want it to be high contrast, low contrast?
Right, because you're right. Now that I'm looking at this more too, there is an appeal to this. It's just not popping. It just looks very,
it would look more antique,
yeah.
Right? And it would have a place, but when I'm like, this block represents spring. So really, really happy with that. And I just cannot get enough of big blocks of stitching. So stitching that house was fun, very enjoyable. And like many others, instead of putting in the tag, she has the option, you can just continue the border. And I've already started that.
So you're not going to label spring at all?
I'm not going to label spring. It will just, the border will continue along.
Have to speak for itself.
It's going to speak for itself for that. So kind of learning a lot about linen.
Yeah, it looks very pretty.
Yeah, thank you.
I really like it.
Thank you, I'm enjoying it. And I'm also finding, I think for right now, this point in time, my sweet spot is 36 count, 1 strand over 2. I'm finding I really like that.
I'm feeling the same way, although I must say, I'm starting to get curious about 40. And I'm starting to get curious about over 1 because I like little things.
You do. You do.
So that might be in my future. I don't know. But right now, 36.
You know what? We should pick like just a small project, even like a 1 color, and try 36 and try 40.
Right.
And just see how that
goes.
goes.
I was thinking something similar.
Yeah. Okay, so my last work in progress is I wanted to show you, this is another knitting, and this is the Vesla Vinterfall cardigan designed by Skein Knits. And here's the back of the cardigan. I've done all the knitting.
Oh gosh, I can just see it running around right now on that sweet little one. This
is for baby A's big sister, who also is A. So we're going to
Toddler A.
Toddler A. Now you're probably thinking, Carolyn, I thought you said it was a cardigan. So can you see those vertical stripes up the front of the sweater? This is a technique used for color work and often started with Norwegian and probably Fair Isle knitting. I'm going to cut it. I'm cutting it open. It's called a steek. So I wanted to show you this before I steek it. And what will happen is some knitters don't reinforce it, but I like to do a little bit of a reinforcement. And I think I'll make a little video when I do it and just put it, I'll be able, not for this, but later on, and do a little time lapse of what it is.
When you say reinforced, will it not unravel after it's cut because of what you do? Or?
Right, it will help. Well, it helps to stabilize it. And knitting in general wants to unravel vertically.
Oh,
it doesn't want to unravel horizontally.
Yes, okay.
So in general, some people don't reinforce it at all. And this is also made out of a wool that hasn't been treated to be super washed, so it means it has to be hand washed. I already told my daughter-in-law, I'm like, I'll wash the sweater for you periodically.
Drop it off, I'll wash it.
But wool, when it happens, then wool tends to want to cling to itself. So again, and some people kind of will felt it as another technique.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just going to do a little crochet reinforcement and cut it out. So next time you see it, then once it's cut, then I'll pick up stitches and do the button bands that will go up in front and the back.
What color ribbon are you going to use on the button band?
You know what? I didn't use ribbon the last time.
Oh.
I just, once I reinforced it and cut it, I just hemmed it in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, some people will put a ribbon inside here but the reinforcement with the crochet kind of does the same thing that the ribbon does. And I felt I didn't want it to get so bulky that it was opening up for that.
Walking around like this.
Right, so really, this was so much fun to knit, and I now just can't wait to steek it. And
colors
again,
are great.
Steeking, it's a little bit scary the first time I'm talking like I'm an expert. I've done it once. This will be my second time. But again, I went to a YouTube video.
Yeah, the first time I made a flat fold.
Oh yeah, you know, that first time I made a flat fold, now I'm an expert. So again, that YouTube video of somebody just watching their hands do the reinforcement, and then watching her cut, I'm like, sure, I can do that too. So that's that. All right.
Okay. So we've mentioned before, we're both teachers. We're a few weeks away from the end of school. I've never done a start to commemorate a birthday or anything, and we really want to start a hashtag SchoolsOutSAL.
SchoolsOutSAL. Yeah. And we're thinking, do you want to join us? And it might be because you're a teacher. It might be because your kids are getting out of school and that's a fun time. You don't need to get them up and out of the door. You might just be someone that loves hearing the kids playing around in the neighborhood in the summer.
Bikes tearing around.
But yeah,
whatever.
or maybe you just have fond memories if you remember that feeling of does it feel like that last day of school and you had that whole summer ahead of you. So for any or all of those reasons you want to join us, we're picking a piece, and Anna gets out a couple days after I do. So Anna, I'm going to wait for you.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. And then we're just going to sit down that first day you're out of school, that we both don't have responsibilities, and we're going to start. Okay, do you have some ideas of what you're going to do?
So my two top things I'm choosing from, and who knows, it might change. When I first came back to cross stitch, this Red Deer sampler by GGR, is it called? Yeah, the Red Deer sampler. It just captivated me.
It's so intricate.
I like some good dense flowers. Anytime I've heard, maybe it's called a lollipop flower or something. Anyway, I love flora and fauna. I am just warming.
Nature girl.
I'm just warming up to a house on cross stitch. I feel like I'm the only one.
Okay,
but
that's okay.
And
I'm
starting to warm up to it. But I love.
And we are thinking too, at least for us, for our SchoolsOutSAL, we want to do a little bit of a bigger piece, because it's the time of year where, we really can sit down, for a few hours a day and make some progress and work on things.
Definitely. So I want to be a little ambitious.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And this is my other one, which I think I held up first video. But again, all the flowers and any sort of spot sampler appeals to me.
Yeah, I could see this be really fun too, because sort of each day of the summer you could be working on one of the motifs,
right?
And have that. But Anna, that is a masterpiece.
But yeah, there is a piece of me that thinks, like, if you don't start this at the start of a summer, you may never do it.
You probably won't finish it in the summer, but
yeah,
you would get a good start.
I actually have no idea. I just have no idea how long things take me yet.
Me neither.
Yeah,
it's the process.
What about you?
I've totally made my decision. So I'm going to do Oh Joyous Day, because Oh Joyous Day, right?
Yeah, that matches.
And I actually have all my threads, and I picked my linen. Same thing, I was struggling a little bit about what color linen, and I was looking through Instagram and I saw someone who was making, I'm like, oh, I love her linen. And so this is a little unlike me, but I'm trying to be a little more assertive. I just sent her a message and say, I love it. What linen did you use? And she replied back, and I got that linen, and it looks really good. So I'm going to use that suggested. So again, very excited for that. And being a bigger piece, really excited for the summer to work on that.
Yeah. Any threads yet?
Oh, I have the call. Got the call for
Did you
thread.
already say that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry.
In fact, we got these when we went up to. I got these when we went up to Needle in a Haystack.
Okay,
yeah. And I was just waiting to get the linen. I'll show you the linen when we're done.
Okay.
It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
I know. Look at that bird. And even these like funky flowers. I'm very excited. Okay. So that brings us to our thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to go first? Or me go first?
Sure.
Yeah, great.
Well, I already mentioned Buster Posey, but I really, really enjoy, after a school day, watching some baseball and cross stitching. A simple dinner, San Francisco Giants baseball, cross stitching. So that, I'm giving thumbs up to baseball. I'm giving thumbs up.
Can I ask a quick question? Do you like baseball radio, baseball TV?
TV.
Okay.
I know a lot. I mean, I enjoy the radio too, but I prefer TV. The other thing that I'm giving thumbs up to, and I mentioned this previously, is the drab brown in the world. Yeah. So this is one of the colors in the Merry Christmas sampler that I made the flat fold from, and I was sort of joking about the color, the name of the color, of the DMC color. And you said something like, well, we need the neutrals in the world.
Need the drabs, yeah.
And ever since you said that, I've just been noticing. So I was on a big field trip with my students and at the beach, and we'll put a photo or two in, because the drab brown and the dark of the hills compared to the turquoise of the water, and there were some wildflowers blooming. Yeah, what would we do without the drab browns?
I know, it's interesting too, the drab browns. We both were raised on the East Coast, but have lived in California really all of our adult life. And when you first come to California, for those that haven't been here or those there, the landscape is very drab in some ways. You know, we don't get a lot of rain, a lot of and you'll see from these photos.
Well, there's just less of the green we were used to growing up.
Right, that lushness, but it's become so beautiful. You know, like that to me now, the California colors and landscape is really my go-to nature environment.
Yeah, and you start to, after you see it for a while, you start to see the variation in it. You see how the neutrals change through the seasons, or like right now, the wildflowers, like I said, are popping in. And
like the California poppy, which is that vibrant orange, or the Golden Gate, you know, with the Golden Gate Bridge, or
that's
the
a great
ocean
example.
Against that drab is beautiful.
Yeah. And my third thing I'm giving thumbs up to are my Ginger embroidery scissors, which I have had
How long have you had
for so many years. And once, you know, I was saying how much Mom supported us, and she always, particularly in making sure we had tools. I really can't remember when she gave these to me, but it could be 40 years ago. I mean, it's a long time, and I've had them resharpened, and you hear they're a little squeaky right now. I'm just so attached to them, and I see all these other beautiful scissors out here, and I just wonder, do I ever need another pair of scissors? I don't know if I do.
And so you get them resharpened when you feel like they're starting to get dull.
I do. So that's my third thing.
Beautiful.
What are you giving thumbs up to?
All right, thumbs up. First thing I'm giving thumbs up to is this stuff. Best press. I had to. Okay, Vana turned me onto this as part of her tutorial, and I'm like, if Vana tells me to do it, I'm doing it. Have you ever used this? It's a, as it says, the clear starch and sizing alternative. So she spritzes this on her fabric before she irons it, and she even spritzes it around the sides of her linen. She doesn't spritz it on the, it's acid free.
And it is labeled acid free. I was wondering about that.
And I found this actually in a quilt shop. So I'm guessing a lot of people know about this, but seriously, give this a go. It's awesome. Thank you, Vana, for getting another great tip. The other thing I want to give a thumbs up to, I love when you see somebody new on Instagram and you're like, I can't believe I love every photo. And this person,
so inspiring.
I'm going through and I'm like, first time I saw her, and her name is Melody Thomas, and she's Mel Thomas 33. I figured I could just show her feed very quickly because she is a public Instagram. When I first found her, okay, yeah, just all of her projects, I just was like, I love that, I love that, I love that, I love that.
Save.
Heart. And I had this instinct to like DM her and be like, I love everything you did, but I didn't. I held
now
back
she knows.
I held back my fangirl. So Melody, I love what you do. Wait, Melody, yeah. Anyway, I'm sure you feel the same way when you encounter somebody new on Instagram like that. And then my final thumbs up is just the way our school works. We really can't drive to campus, so I often bike, but I have to say I've been really lazy the last few months, and I've been driving. And so I park about like a half a mile away and then walk the rest of the way. And where I park is I park next to a public park, and it's also a public garden that's there. And I'm just going to insert a few photos, because what I do now is to school and home, I walk through this beautiful public garden every day. And there's just something in the morning. I always go the paths, I go different ways, and it's just like refreshing in the morning. But then the afternoon, like when you're coming off of your like, teaching day, it just kind of like resets. So I'm very grateful for this public garden, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
All right. Okay, that's it. Episode number 3 is in the wrap. So everybody, until next time, happy crafting.
And stay curious.
All right.
Bye everybody.